You spend months building something, maybe years, a business, a relationship, a future you quietly believed in. And then, in a single afternoon, it collapses. Your first instinct is almost automatic. The market shifted. The timing was wrong. Someone failed you. That instinct is deeply human. But over a century ago, in a small book called As a Man Thinketh, an English writer named James Allen proposed something unsettling. He argued that human beings do not merely react to reality, they participate in shaping it through the architecture of thought itself. And in the 21st century, surrounded by distraction, outrage, comparison, and psychological exhaustion, his ideas feel less outdated than prophetic. Allen wrote, "A man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts." He published those words in 1903, before neuroscience, before cognitive behavioral therapy, before behavioral science, before psychologists had formal language for the patterns Allen was observing through reflection alone. More than 100 years later, a Stanford psychologist named Carol Dweck would spend decades studying a remarkably similar phenomenon. Why do some people grow stronger through adversity, while others collapse beneath it? Her answer became known as the growth mindset, the belief that human beings can change. Allen and Dweck never shared an era, but they are speaking about the same hidden force, the relationship between thought, identity, and destiny. This is what that relationship looks like in practice. Every action you have ever taken began first as a thought. Not always a dramatic one, often a quiet one, a repeated one, a thought rehearsed so many times it eventually became invisible. Allen called this the law of mental causality. Thought shapes character. Character shapes behavior. Behavior shapes circumstance. And circumstance slowly becomes the life you live. What makes Allen remarkable is not merely the claim itself. Ancient philosophers had hinted at similar ideas for centuries. What makes Allen extraordinary is how modern his psychological intuition now feels. Because modern neuroscience increasingly confirms something he understood intuitively. Repeated thought physically reshapes perception. Attention changes behavior. Behavior changes identity. Identity changes decision-making. And decision-making alters the trajectory of a life. Carol Dweck arrived at this through experimental psychology. She separated people into two broad patterns, the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. One believes personality and ability are permanent. The other believes human beings remain unfinished. The fixed mind says, "This is simply who I am." The growth mind asks, "What pattern created this, and can that pattern change?" Allen would have recognized that distinction immediately, because beneath "as a man thinketh" lies a deceptively simple proposition. You are not imprisoned by your first thought. You are shaped by the thoughts you continue rehearsing. And perhaps this is why so many people remain trapped inside versions of themselves they no longer consciously chose. Not because transformation is impossible, but because repetition quietly became identity. Allen's central metaphor is the garden. The mind is soil. Thoughts are seeds. Some arrive intentionally, others drift in through culture, fear, comparison, resentment, envy, humiliation, constant digital noise. You cannot prevent every seed from entering the garden, but you can decide which ones are cultivated. And this may be one of the defining psychological battles of modern life, because the 21st century is not merely competing for your time, it is competing for your mental environment, your attention, your emotional reactions, your inner narration. Entire industries now profit from psychological agitation. Outrage drives engagement. Anxiety sustains consumption. Comparison fuels platforms. A calm mind has become almost countercultural, which is precisely why Alan feels so relevant now. He understood that internal disorder eventually creates external disorder, not magically, behaviorally. A resentful person interprets neutral moments as attacks. A fearful person hesitates where confidence was required. A person convinced they cannot change eventually stops trying altogether, and slowly, their life begins confirming the belief they rehearsed repeatedly. Dweck observed this directly in laboratories. Students with a fixed mindset experienced difficulty as personal indictment. Failure meant exposure, evidence of limitation. But students with a growth mindset interpreted difficulty differently. Difficulty became information, feedback, a signal for adaptation. Same challenge, different interpretation, different future. Alan would argue that adversity does not create character. It reveals the character already cultivated internally. And perhaps this is the idea most people resist, because it shifts the center of gravity inward. For 1 week, observe your reactions carefully. After every frustration, every disappointment, every emotional trigger, ask one question. What thought pattern inside me participated in this reaction? Not self-blame, not guilt, just honest observation, psychological archaeology. Then ask a second question. What thought would create a more useful future from here? Alan once wrote, "The body is the servant of the mind." He wrote that in 1903, long before stress science, long before researchers understood how chronic emotional states alter physiology. Alan was not claiming thought magically cures disease. He was observing something subtler, that prolonged fear changes the body, resentment changes the body, hopelessness changes the body. Emotional states leave physical fingerprints. Dweck's research points toward the same mechanism through identity. A person who believes stress defines them stops searching for adaptation. They rehearse helplessness neurologically. But a person who believes change remains possible behaves differently under pressure. They regulate differently, recover differently, persist differently. This is not motivational language. It is cognitive conditioning. And perhaps that is why one small word matters so much. Yet. I have not solved this yet. I have not recovered yet. I do not understand this yet. That word keeps possibility alive long enough for effort to continue. Alan believed that without purpose, the mind fragments. Thought scatters, attention weakens, and in the absence of direction, worry takes control. Modern life amplifies this problem enormously. Notifications, comparison, information overload, constant stimulation. The average mind now consumes more emotional input in a single day than many people once absorbed in weeks. And without an organizing purpose, attention becomes vulnerable to whatever is loudest. Alan writes, "They who have no central purpose in their life fall an easy prey to worries, fears, troubles, and self-pity." That is not moral criticism. It is psychological observation. Purpose acts as a filter, a stabilizer, a way of organizing thought against chaos. Dweck found the same pattern among elite performers, not necessarily the most naturally gifted people, but the ones capable of sustained adaptation. Michael Jordan became iconic not because he avoided failure, but because he interpreted failure differently. Information, adjustment, repetition. Alan would recognize this immediately. Purpose is not passive wishing, It is disciplined orientation. It is the ability to ask, does this thought serve what I am building? Write down one meaningful goal. 90 days. Nothing dramatic. Then every time worry or complaint appears, run it through the filter. Does this thought strengthen the architecture of the person I am becoming, or weaken it? Alan understood something modern culture often forgets. Human beings become what they repeatedly contemplate. This is why idle fantasy changes nothing. Alan makes a careful distinction between wishing and vision. Wishing escapes reality. Vision reorganizes behavior. To hold a vision consistently in the mind, while repeatedly acting in alignment with it, gradually restructures identity itself. Modern psychology calls part of this process mental rehearsal. Sports psychologists use it constantly. Not fantasy, simulation. Imagining obstacles, imagining response, imagining steadiness under pressure. Each morning, spend 90 seconds visualizing one challenge you may face today. Then visualize your ideal response. Calm, focused, measured, kind. You are not predicting reality. You are preparing cognition. This is cognitive architecture. And perhaps this leads to James Allen's deepest insight of all. The true goal was never wealth, never status, never endless achievement. It was serenity. Calmness of mind, Allen writes, is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. Not comfort, not pleasure, calmness. And this is where As a Man Thinketh becomes far more than early self-development philosophy, because Allen understood something modern culture often forgets. A calm mind is not something people are born with. It is constructed, slowly, patiently, thought by thought, reaction by reaction, choice by choice. Serenity for Allen is not passivity. It is earned psychological stability, the ability to remain internally ordered while life becomes externally chaotic. Anyone can appear peaceful when conditions are favorable, but the disciplined mind reveals itself in difficulty, in uncertainty, in humiliation, in disappointment, in the moments where emotion demands immediate reaction. Allen believed that the person who masters thought develops a kind of quiet gravitational force. Others begin to trust them instinctively, rely on them, feel steadied by their presence, not because they dominate the room, but because they are no longer dominated by themselves. More than a century later, modern neuroscience would arrive at remarkably similar conclusions. Emotional regulation, neuroplasticity, mindfulness-based stress reduction. Different language, same underlying principle. The repeated practice of calm thought reshapes the nervous system itself. A reactive mind strengthens reactivity. Anxious thought deepens anxious pathways. But deliberate calmness, rehearsed consistently, becomes neurological conditioning. Allen understood this intuitively long before science mapped the circuitry. He observed that emotional chaos eventually distorts judgment, but inner steadiness clarifies perception. And perhaps nowhere is this more visible than in modern life. Today, distraction has become an economy. Outrage has become entertainment. Emotional impulsiveness is rewarded constantly. Algorithms compete for agitation because agitated people remain engaged. And in that environment, a calm person becomes almost revolutionary. Allen compares the disciplined mind to the ocean. The surface may rage with storms. Waves crash violently above. But deep beneath the surface, the ocean remains perfectly still. This is the serenity Alan was describing. Not the absence of pain, not immunity from suffering, but depth, an internal stillness that remains untouched by temporary turbulence. Carol Dweck's work helps explain the mechanism beneath this. A fixed mindset experiences adversity as personal collapse, but a growth-oriented mind interprets difficulty differently, not as proof of inadequacy, but as part of development itself. That shift changes the emotional response entirely. The nervous system relaxes, perspective widens, problem-solving returns. And perhaps this is why calmness is not weakness. It is advanced self-governance. When anxiety rises, when life becomes uncertain, when humiliation or fear begin flooding the mind, Alan does not tell us to deny emotion. He tells us to govern thought before thought governs us. Pause, breathe, observe, then ask, what is the most useful thought available to me right now? That moment, small and invisible to everyone else, is where self-mastery begins. The ancient Stoics understood this. Modern psychology confirms it. James Allen articulated it beautifully in 1903. The soul always retains one final authority, the authority to choose its inner response. And perhaps this is why the final words of the Serenity chapter still feel so powerful today. Because beneath all the noise of modern life, beneath the fear, the comparison, the endless mental stimulation, there remains a deeper possibility. A human being capable of looking inward and saying to the storm within, "Peace, be still." Return now to the beginning, the collapse, the failure, the moment life did not unfold as planned. Most people spend years trying to control the external world. Alan asks something more difficult. What if the deepest form of power is learning to govern the internal one? Thought becomes behavior. Behavior becomes character. Character becomes destiny. And hidden quietly beneath all of it, the possibility of serenity remains. Not gifted, not purchased, not stumbled upon accidentally. Built, thought by thought, day by day, moment by moment. Inside the forge of the mind, you are always shaping something. The question is no longer whether thought matters. The question is, what kind of inner world are you building? And who will you become by living inside it?